What is
The government is cracking down on illegals. No, not immigrants. Music downloads. Joel Tenenbaum fighting a $675,000 fine for illegally downloading and sharing 30 songs. The Supreme Court refusing his appeal. That was hardly a shocker. Joel being here is a good development. Joel, good having you. You're in big trouble, young man. What are you going to do?
Well, it's good to be here, Neil. It's actually not what I'm going to do. Well, it's actually not a fine. It's actually not a kind of government penalty. It's a civil lawsuit between the RIAA and me, but the RIAA was using the extensive legal system and the legal system put in place by the federal government.
You're quite right to distinguish civil or not. You do have to pay if it, in that event, and that's a lot of money to pay. I assume you don't have the money to pay it.
No, I've been a graduate student for the last 6 years. I'm not rich. I'm not a corporation. I'm just a person.
Well, why did you download, Joel? I know a lot of people do, and you might have been one caught, and maybe they're just trying to make a lesson out of you, an example. But why do you think this happened?
Why do I think what happened, Neil?
That this happened where there's this, civil thing hanging over you for doing what a lot of Americans do all the time.
Well, they wanted to make an example out of me. They sued me in addition to something like 20,000 other people, picked out of the millions of people who were doing this. This was very much a thing done among my generation.
Who caught you? What clued them in?
Well, what the RIA does is they have an agent that acts on their behalf that goes onto the file sharing program and then does screen captures showing the files that you're sharing. They then take that information with the IP address, give that to the RIA, who then subpoenas your internet service provider, and then they can do full exploratory. They can do everything that the federal government basically allows them to do as the plaintiffs in a lawsuit, which includes seizing my computer, copying the whole thing, subjecting me to 16 hours of deposition.
Now, I know everybody or a good many people do this. And you got caught doing this, but it doesn't make it any less wrong, right? I mean, what you did was wrong, and what you did technically isn't legal, right?
Well, I think that sort of questioning is something of maybe a disconnect between people that are older that haven't been doing this and people who are younger, people who are more used to maybe reading the news from a newspaper versus people who are more used to reading it online. This is something that was very, very common. Before this, it was people taping songs off the radio, and it wasn't like anybody occurred the idea that would be something terribly, terribly wrong.
But we live in an age where savvy people, and you look and sound like a savvy guy, know that is wrong, and that there are you download something, you got to pay for it, and you didn't.
Well, but Neil, it's not simply that black and white. If you look at the people who do download illegally, they spend 50% more on legal music. This is a means of exploration that my generation has used to explore these kinds of things. Now, the fact that there's been such a huge lawsuit over this thing and such a big example they're trying to make out of me hasn't really changed much. People stopped using these big, easily traceable file sharing programs. Now they're going further underground into programs called BitTorrents. But it hasn't really changed anything. It's sort of something that's there.
So have you continued to do this in light of this, Joel, or are you just holding back, looking at a settlement, chilling for a while, listening to the music you have, not downloading anything else? What?
Well, in the event that I want music, what I wind up doing now is I buy a used CD online so that the royalties don't go back to the RIA. I don't buy music from them new. I don't buy on iTunes if it's RIA affiliated, which is difficult because they control 90% of the commercial music in this country by their own calculations.
How much music do you think collectively you've downloaded?
Well, at the time that they sued me, I think it was something like 800 songs on my computer, which was apparently embarrassingly small. Anytime I mentioned this to any of my friends, it was not a proud number. I did not have a lot of music with me. So
Sure.
There's this image that I'm this huge guy who downloaded tons and tons of music. It's just not the case. It
What
was
did
just
they catch
one
you
of the
downloading?
random
What
people
caught
they
their
selected
attention? What did you download?
Well, it was a matter of they have this media agent who goes around looking at the share folder, looking at songs that are shared. And what the pattern seems to be in these lawsuits is they pick like really, really popular songs that basically everybody downloads, everybody shares, songs that they easily can certify they have the copyrights on. There are 30 songs. They're listed online. It's an arbitrary sampling. One of them is like Goo Goo Dolls. One of them is Nirvana, Come As You Are. One of them is Green Day, Minority, Outkast, Wheels of Steel.
Just
an assortment of
very good taste.
Most of the people online don't seem to think so, but thanks
what do
anyway.
They know? What do they know? I hope you work this out. It does seem to be disproportionate to the so-called crime. But we'll keep us posted, Joel. Thank you very much.
Sure thing, Neil. Great to be here.